Mae, this is so great to have the opportunity to talk to you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, nice to meet you.
Great. Listen, okay, I have to ask you, when you were pitched this idea, they came to you and said, gave you the whole rundown. What were you even thinking, and how nervous were you about this whole situation?
I was so nervous, and then increasingly nervous as it got closer, and I started watching clips from the other shows in different countries, like the Australian one, and I was like, oh my God, what have I done? Yeah, but I kind of had faith that I understood the Canadian cultural identity enough to know that it wouldn't be as intensely kind of intense as the Australian one. Basically, I knew people wouldn't be cruel, so I was like, I think I can handle this.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that because if you had watched the other ones, only because to try and get tips from some of the other comics as to how they held it back. Did you take any of that, or did you just go with it when you got into that room?
I had a lot of big plans and schemes that just went out the window when I got in there, and when I saw who else was in there, because I really didn't know, and it was a lot of people I grew up watching, and right. So I felt like I was at a real disadvantage. I pretty much tried to avoid eye contact. I knew right when I saw Tom Green, I was like, I'm done, I'm screwed,
Yeah. Yeah.
Something about his face is so funny to me, just and proximity, like I was a goner.
Yeah. Now I want to ask you, what is a scarier prospect? Getting up on a stage to do stand-up and not knowing if your audience is going to laugh or whatever, or appreciate what you're doing, or walking into a room with these, Canadian comedy elite and have to hold back your laughter.
Oh yeah, obviously the second one, and also you're petrified about what they're going to think of you. Also, I mean, notoriously comedians don't laugh at other comedians. They're like, they're thinking about it. They're going, oh, that's funny. I like that bit. So it was an uphill battle from the beginning, and everyone's jaded and dead inside. So it was really the idea of making them laugh was awful. And then the idea of not laughing was just impossible because I find them all so funny. But
yeah. So what is the secret to trying to hold back laughter? What's your tip?
I went to some really dark places in my head. And then also what I didn't realize about myself until I got in there and until I watched back some of the episodes is when I'm trying not to laugh, I basically cry, like my eyes fill with tears. Okay. And I get red, and I'm trying to like it's happening now just thinking about it. And I kind of my facial muscles are just trying. So I look like I'm crying kind of the whole time. It's right. A remarkable thing to watch. There's a lot of emotional intensity as I'm trying not to break.
So when you walked in that room and you saw who was going to be there, who frightened you the most? Like I know you mentioned Tom Green, but I have to tell you, I watched the 4 episodes that I was given, and I just could not stop howling. Like, I don't know how you guys did it. There's some funny stuff going on.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Yeah. I'm really glad because you don't know how it's going to be edited. What a nightmare job to edit.
For sure. All those cameras, like that's crazy. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, no, I was immediately worried about Tom because also his thing is not laughing. Like I grew up watching the Tom Green show, and he's, I remember one bit where he's interviewing people and there's a piece of poo on the microphone and he's just completely deadpan, like straight face. So he's a pro at that.
Yeah.
And then, I find them all so funny, but Colin Mockery I knew would be very clowny and unpredictable, which, the element of surprise is always dangerous when you're not expecting something. So that.
Yeah. And then you have Jay Baruchel sitting in his man cave, howling away. That's not fair.
Yeah, I know. We all began to really resent him. Yeah.
I would have too. Like, that's not fair because he really lets out a lot of laughs, but he's the god, he gets to watch you guys. And I have to say too, Mae, I will never look at grilled cheese sandwich again in the same way.
Me neither. Me neither. Yeah. And who would have thought that I would find that funny? It's just the repetition of the phrase delicious cheese sandwich. It was like he was adding vowels in that weren't there. There's something about his voice and the repetition and the proximity. It was as soon as he got close to my face, I was done for.
Yeah, I tell you, it's a hard job, but somebody's got to do it. And you 10, man, it's so much fun to watch it. I have to ask you, Mae, look, you're a Canadian treasure, no doubt. But you moved to the UK to do your, work and stand up and your comedy. And I was wondering how that move has changed your comedic sensibilities. Has it influenced you in any different ways as opposed to just being Canadian and now you have to maybe be UK?
I don't know. I've always kind of felt like a hybrid of the two because my dad's British, and so I grew up watching British comedy and Canadian comedy. So yeah, my mom was showing me SCTV and Kids in the Hall, and my dad was showing me Monty Python and that kind of thing. So it wasn't too bad a transition. I think Canadian and British comedy are pretty similar and they're in line, but American comedy is quite different. Maybe it's a little more outward facing rather than self-deprecating. So yeah, no, it was a fine transition. Who knows if it's warped me slowly over. I mean, 12 years of no sun must have done something to me. I
would think so. Yeah, that vitamin D deficiency, it messes with you. There's no question about it. So you mentioned Kids in the Hall. So what was it like to have Dave Foley in the room?
Yeah, it was great. He's notoriously deadpan and dry as well. So, and I think he'd be the first to admit that he's dead inside. So that I knew was going to be a real challenge. But yeah, it was nice to spend time with him. He's an icon. Yeah, I grew up watching Kids in the Hall. So I saw them live at Massey Hall when I was like 13, and they were like rock stars. Like people were shouting out the punchlines, and
it's when you look at it, there's no doubt Canadians are pretty much the funniest people in the world. When you look at all of the funny people that have come out of Canada, I want to know what your mother fed you as a kid to give you your superpower.
Oh, the same as all parents of comedians, I think, which is a healthy amount of self-doubt. And I'm lucky that my parents are big comedy fans. So they raised me on all kinds of comedy. But yeah, I mean, everybody's got a sort of void that they're trying to fill, I think.
I think it might be craft dinner. What do you think? I think,
You know what? My dad was a restaurant critic. So we were lucky that we'd go out to dinner a lot. But this was the 90s. So it was a lot of I want to say Alfredo pasta and sun-dried tomatoes.
Okay.
Like food in the 90s was so yeah, I was lucky with not much craft dinner, but
yeah. Okay. You elevated it. You were very, very lucky. Yeah. Last, I want to talk to you a little bit about your series. What a hit it was or is still on Netflix. People are still watching it. And I want to ask you to have that opportunity to be so open with your life and then have everybody accept it. I mean, when it premiered, it was COVID, so we were all looking for stuff to watch. And then season 2, we're hopefully starting to get out of the pandemic. But it was so well received, Mae. You must have been so proud. And what was it like for you to have that opportunity to bring us that series and have it so well received?
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, it's always super rewarding when you say something really personal and then find that it's universal. That's so therapeutic. And so it was so important to me. And then also, to have it come out in lockdown, and I was just kind of in my apartment, but seeing the reaction online, that was amazing. And I feel so lucky. Yeah.
Are we going to get more from you? What's coming up next after this? I mean, this series is freaking hilarious. So congratulations on that. But what are you going to give us next? And hopefully start touring again, I would hope too.
Yeah. Sorry, you froze for a second there, but yeah.
Oh, sorry. And are you planning on going out on tour again too?
Yeah, I've been touring, and I've got another TV show I'm developing and a couple of movies, and I'm about to be in that show, The Flight Attendant, on HBO.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I've just finished filming that, and it was super fun.
Oh, I can imagine. I love the first season. I can't wait for the next, and working with Kaylee and the gang. That must have been great. Wow, I can't wait for that, Mae. Well, thank you so much for your time. Like I said, you are very, very funny in this show. The blood pudding pops and everything. So much fun to watch you. And thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Good luck with everything.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Okay, take care, Mae. Bye-bye.